Having looked at the broadly date-defined design styles, we're now going to look at marks and inscriptions on artifacts. And they will often allow us to pinpoint either the date of manufacture or at least the date at which they were originally designed to within sometimes a day or so. So marks and inscriptions break into a number of groups. There are those that denote quality, and perhaps the best example of those are silver and gold hallmarks and pewter touch marks. There are those that are regulatory in terms of either protection of intellectual property, patent numbers, trademarks, and registered designs, or those that actually say made in England or foreign, which is a result of certain other legislation. And then last but not least, there are the inscriptions that are related to owners or previous owners of the artifacts themselves. So let's start with the hallmarks, and this is a silver spoon, and on the back, in close-up you can be able to see that there is a maker's mark and then what is known as a hallmark. And that hallmark comprises of a number of elements. There is a symbol that represents the assay office where this was certified as being sterling silver. There's also a date letter which relates to when this item was sent to the assay office for approval. Having worked out the year that this spoon was sent to the assay office, you can then use the maker's mark as a way of defining where it was made, where it was designed, and that often will give you other circumstantial evidence. You sometimes find, for instance, that an item may have been made in Birmingham but then sent to another assay office in places like Chester, for instance, or London for certification of its quality. Registered design numbers perhaps are even more exact, whereas the hallmark just gives you the year that it was assayed, and the maker's mark would maybe provide you with further details of if that artifact could have been made a year or two before that time. Registered design numbers can give you the particular day, month and year that the design for the artifact was actually registered with the state. Registered design marks take two forms. Between 1843 and 1883, they form this diamond shape, and then between 1884 onwards, they're a number, which you can see on this pen stand here. What's interesting about this dish is that it has two registered design diamonds, one printed and one impressed. The one impressed is earlier, dates to 1872, and is clearly related to the shape and design of this rather quite attractive and shallow dish. The printed registration mark relates to the graphic design that's been printed onto this, and that dates to 1875. Those are dates which mean that this artifact cannot be any earlier than 1875, but it could be substantially later. And in fact, because of the manufacturer's name, we know that there's an impressed date mark here, which states that this item itself was actually made in 1880. So that's several years after both the shape, the form, and the decoration were registered, which is quite normal. In 1890, America passed legislation imposing tariff restrictions on non-American goods. And as a result, the phrase England or made in England is embossed in some way on most artifacts. What you also get at this time, from 1891, is the word foreign, which denotes that it wasn't made in the UK, but nevertheless complies with the McKinley tariff legislation. So again, it's another date before which this artifact cannot have been made. So we've looked at quality, and we've looked at, if you like, legislation. We've also looked at manufacturers. There's a huge range of information about all of these on the firstBASE website, in terms of both on screen but also online resources elsewhere as well. The final type of mark or inscription are those relating to personal ownership. And the example I've got here actually has two examples of that. This is a plane made probably in the late 19th, early 20th century, and at the end the maker's name has been stamped both there and on the blade. But also J. Cooper, who owned this plane, has had his name stamped on it as well. But this actually was given to me as a leaving present by my former colleagues in Leicestershire Museums. And so there's a rather sort of nice inscription that has been added to this, which is dated November 2004. So again, the mistake you can make easily is to say, oh, this must be dating from 2004. Well, of course it's not. The inscription actually is secondary to the artifact. Or you can have a very fine piece of Georgian silver, which is nevertheless inscribed as a presentation piece 100, 200 years afterwards. So personal inscriptions and marks need to be treated with extreme care. But nevertheless, they do provide that very interesting human interface. In these three films, we've discussed initially a schema by which identifications can be structured. We have the internal triangle of form, function, and material. And we have an outer triangle of marks and inscriptions, signs of use, and design style. By looking at the form and by looking at materials, we can make a good deduction of what the function of the artifact is. And signs of use will help in that deduction. The design style and marks and inscriptions can often provide more detailed information, particularly about the date of production.